Welcome back to another episode of the Animation Explainers Who We Work With podcast, a short chat with some of the incredible people and businesses who Animation Explainers have had the opportunity to work with. Today, I'm joined by Mr. Andrew Tinkle from Life360 Innovations. Andrew, could you start us off by briefly telling us a little bit more about yourself and your role with Life360?
Yeah, thanks, Hugo. It's great to talk to you today. My name's Andrew Tinkle, and I've been working with the brand Contino and Life360 Innovations for about 2.5 years now. I started as a full-time employee, VP Marketing and Sales, exactly 2 years ago. Actually, I think last week was my 2-year anniversary. And prior to that, I had about a 6-month consulting relationship with them. And you work with a company, and you do some work, you make some connections with the team, and things go well. I was fortunate enough that was my situation, and so the team asked me to basically join and help them with their startup journey. So that's how I got started with Contino. Prior to that, I spent about 25 years at Johnson & Johnson, working through a lot of different businesses and roles there. For those who don't know, Johnson & Johnson has 3 major sectors. There's sort of a consumer healthcare sector, there's a pharmaceutical sector, and a medical devices sector. And so I spent time working through all 3 of those in different capacities in marketing and sales over the years. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my background.
Thanks for that, Andrew. Okay, so for those of us watching who may not be quite sure what it is Life360 or Contino does, what is your product and why is it important?
Yeah, this is when I saw the Contino brand as I was starting to engage with them on a consulting basis, it really struck me as this diamond in the rough opportunity to help men with prostate-related incontinence issues, which is what our product solves. There's a real gap in terms of the treatments that were available for those men, and so I saw this as a real opportunity to help those men. Essentially, what the Contino is a urethral insert, and it's very disruptive in managing men's urinary incontinence. Historically, if a man has prostate removed, prostate surgery for prostate cancer or some radiation or some other types of therapies, a percentage of them will completely recover, and then a percentage of them will be functionally incontinent at that point in time, and they'll just be leaking urine. And of course, a lot of these men are still sort of relatively young, in their 50s and 60s and 70s, and could be working, could just be very actively retired, and they're dealing with this leaking issue. And prior to Contino coming along, it was essentially dealing with the issue, just sort of living with it, wearing adult briefs and diapers, which can be extremely problematic for an active person who's trying to navigate a day. And there were some additional kind of devices beyond that, like a bag device that you wear to collect the urine throughout the day, just kind of difficult. And then beyond that, you're into surgeries, and so implants and things like that to help manage it, which is quite severe on the other end and comes with a host of issues. And so the Contino sort of very nicely sits in the continuum of care between these pads and surgeries, and it gives men a new option to be able to manage their incontinence in a non-invasive way without encountering surgery, and enables them to potentially eliminate or dramatically reduce how many diapers they would need to use in an average day. So if you think about a working man and they're riding the bus to work or the subway and they're managing a day at the office, they don't have to deal with wearing diapers. They can use our device.
Yeah. So Andrew, what's one thing your product accomplished that you didn't expect?
Well, it's interesting. So the Contino the intention for Contino is to control urine leakage, full stop. That's why it was created, was to help men manage their day. And instead of leaking into a diaper or a pad, they're simply maintaining and keeping urine in their body normally, as we all do if we're not incontinent. And then you can release it, at the time of your choosing when you need to use the restroom. And so that's what it was intended for. What we've been learning as we've building a group of users is that actually there's this whole host of additional benefits to using the Contino that we hadn't necessarily anticipated. And those are surrounding issues like when you're wearing diapers, the urine is sitting against your skin, and so there's some skin irritation. And so we're seeing a real reduction and improvement in quality of life in a lot of our users with that. But more importantly, one of the aspects with these men is that their bladder is just constantly empty because they're constantly leaking. And with the Contino, they're getting back to that more normative bladder functionality. And as a result, they're sort of feeling more normal neurological results around the use of their bladder that they had lost. So we call this increased bladder sensitization. Now, I want to just caveat this very carefully to say that this is not something that we can claim. This is something that was very interesting and surprising to us that we learned as we started our clinical research, and is now something we're examining more broadly because we think it has a lot of opportunity for the future, not only as a tool to manage incontinence, but potentially to treat the bladder and help restore bladder health more holistically, which is extremely exciting.
Some really, really important findings there, Andrew. Okay, so would you be able to share what can we expect from Life360 Innovations and Contino for the rest of the year?
We're very excited about our business rollout for Life360 and the Contino brand for the rest of 22, but 23, 24 as well. We're very much a startup in the scaling phase at this point in time, and we're based in Vancouver, Canada. We're a Canadian innovation, and we've been working on our product market fit here and establishing, I call it a micro launch of our brand in the British Columbia area to, identify some customers and work with them and really refine our processes, refining our customer journey, building out a network of stakeholders that can support us in the medical community. And so we've spent a few years really getting that right so that we're really ready to then expand our business and our footprint across Canada. So for the back half of this year, we're actually moving out of British Columbia and we're starting to establish clinics in Eastern Canada. And so we'll slowly be doing that, centered around the Greater Toronto area. And then we'll be expanding across the rest of the country to fill in the entire geography. And so, we're extremely excited about that expansion plan because that's really what we've been working towards for a period of time. The other thing that we're quite excited about is that we've been under, like the rest of the world, we've been locked down under COVID for quite some time. And our business relies, building partnerships with clinics across the Canada that treat incontinence. And of course, all of these clinics have been very challenged with COVID and their ability to operate. And so we've been able to go in and start to establish face-to-face relationships to help those clinics get started. And then finally, our business, because it's a urologic-based device, it's highly tied to the urologist community and being involved with them. And we've not been able to attend conferences and other things to sort of really meet them and network with that group. And so we're super excited to be able to attend some of the key Canadian urologics conferences this year to really, make ourselves well known in the broader community. We've been working with small groups of urologists, obviously closely, and now we're very excited to, spread the word more broadly. So we're very excited about things to come for this year.
Okay, so a lot to look forward to there. Second last question now, Andrew. What's one question you wished I'd asked you, and how would you have answered it?
I think, one of the things that I think many people underestimate when they get started in a business venture like ours, particularly for me as the VP of marketing and sales, is how do you effectively market and launch a small startup business in the healthcare space in today's environment? Never mind COVID, but just competing with the larger players, navigating the digital environment, considering media fragmentation, the balance of face-to-face traditional selling techniques versus digital techniques. How do you navigate that to come up with an effective plan? And I think that's something that many companies, large and small, struggle with. As a small company, we've had to educate ourselves as best as we can. We've had to just start in some places with digital marketing and creating funnels and lead pipelines and just getting started, and then learning and iterating as we've gone. And then we've had to be very smart about identifying effective partners like yourself that create really, really impactful vehicles for us to be able to spread the word. And so I think it's always easy to say with marketing and sales and hard to do. And so I think that's one of the most one of the most challenging areas that we continue to deal with today. And so when you ask me, this is a top of mind issue for me constantly, and I've been working in marketing and sales for years. So that would be what I wish you would ask me.
That's perfect. Last question for me, Andrew. How did animation benefit Contino?
Yeah, animation explainers and the video that we created with the team has been a real benefit to Contino. One of the challenges with the brand is that it's not always easy to convey what the concept is, how the product works, and how the patient would interact with it and get it, and so on. And so, a lot of our content and material was somewhat lengthy, trying to explain the process. And we really realized after not too long that we needed a punchy, tight, and somewhat entertaining and engaging way to be able to explain our value proposition and our process to prospects and leads in an effective way. And so I was simply looking at different types of videos, and I'd actually seen a video that was playing from an ex-colleague of mine at J&J who was working with another organization, and I think I saw it through his LinkedIn and saw the video, and then saw that it was animation explainers, and so the rest is history. We reached out to you and we're able to kick off a project, and we've been very pleased with it. So this has been one of our most viewed videos on YouTube. I think we've surpassed 32 or 33,000 views on that video just as of a couple of days ago. We check every few days, and so that's been going extremely well for us. And we've researched it in some way and gotten some feedback, and so we're very pleased with the video, because when we take people who are naive to Contino and not knowing anything about us, they can very quickly parrot back what we're all about, how the product works, and how they can maybe take a next step if they're interested in a trial or learning more. So we've been very pleased with that.
Andrew, that was brilliant. Thank you very much for coming on and telling us a little bit more about yourself, Contino, and Life360 Innovations. For anybody watching who does want to find out a little bit more about Life360, you can contact Andrew directly or visit life360innovations.com. Lastly, for those watching, I hope you did find this interesting and helpful as well. And remember, if you can't simply explain it, why not animate it? See you in the next episode.